Good evening, Warband, and welcome back to Tech Talk Tuesday. Today we got episode 14, Talking with Docs, specifically documents. But first off, we've got Sotanar, Colin McCracken, D-Man50, Blinded Journeyman, Random Gen Z Bastard, welcome. And sorry to hear about your loss, Journeyman. Drink up. I don't got any booze on me myself, but I'll drink what I have on hand. So, I had no word from OK Lord tonight, so he's probably busy with one thing or another. But I came across, as usual, some AI news from the usual source, the AI Entrepreneur, about chatting with your documents using artificial intelligence. So, we're going to take a look at this and figure out what the heck this is all about. And since we're probably going to get through this in half decent time, maybe we'll even get through a couple other things. Maybe a little more waifu or robussy related. Let's see. But for now, let's see what we've got about this private GPT and talking with documents.
Talking to your documents? No? Yeah, me neither. This was kind of a weird question. However, if you want to, now you can. Thanks to Private GPT. Hello humans, my name is Kenyo AI Overload, and today I will show you an incredible, insane tool. So get ready. And that pretty cool tool is called Private GPT, which is an open source tool that allows you to have a conversation or ask questions to your documents using a local LLM. And all of that offline. That's right. So don't need to pay for the ChatGPT API or even have an internet connection. Everything can be done offline. Plus,
my favorite kind of AI, the kind that you don't have to use online and you can keep on your computer. Why do most commentary channels sound like they're on a sugar rush? Dragon Repeater? That's a good question. I think a lot of it is a matter of efficiency. But remember, people have very short attention spans, so you kind of got to be able to get through your points very fast, and then you combine that with like rapid editing. Like I'm pretty sure that he's not speaking like this just off the cuff, and heck, for all we know, he actually speeds up the audio. So that quite a number of reasons, but I think it works with the YouTube algorithm at the end of the day. The YouTube algorithm primarily appeals to people who speak fast with high energy.
since this is running on your CPU, you don't even need a powerful GPU to run it. So that's pretty cool. So in this video, let's install that super cool tool and I'm gonna show you what you can do with it. Are you ready? Then let's go. So, Private GPT is a super cool open source tool that allows you to ask questions to your documents without an internet connection using the power of local LLMs. It is of course 100% private since no data will leave your execution environment. You can use any LLM model that you want as long as it is using the GGML format, and the tool supports a bunch of extensions: CSV, Word document, Evernote, email.
Oh, it actually supports PDF. Imagine it's got to be a PDF that you can highlight the text of. It couldn't just be an image-related PDF, but that's handy. Curious. And yeah, MTNTXII. Mac's been producing content so far as I've seen. Chronic, you need to go to channel 15 to see his latest stuff. He got reported for cyberbullying. So, yeah, he's dealing with the strike there.
Email, HTML, Markdown, Outlook message, Open document, PDF, PowerPoint, or just simple text documents. Basically, pretty much all of the most used extensions. And installing Private GPT is actually fairly easy. However, even if the installation process is easy, that doesn't mean that you're not gonna have a few errors. And to begin the installation, you of course need to install Python. So if you haven't already, you're gonna click the link in the description down below, you're gonna arrive on this page, you're gonna choose the Windows installer, then install Python onto your computer. computer. It's very easy, very simple. Just do not forget to check the box add Python to path, otherwise you're gonna have a bunch of issues. Then next, you're gonna install Git. So again, it's very simple. Just click here to download the Windows installation and install Git on your computer if you haven't done already. Otherwise, the git clone command will not work. So then you're gonna go to the private GPT GitHub.
Anything involving AI usually requires you to install Python and Git. So if anyone else is planning on jumping in, these tutorial videos are fairly straightforward on the matter. But looks like we've got... Well, here comes the more complicated part. I haven't seen this video or installed it yet, so we're just going to kind of see what it's all about.
Page. Basically just click the link in the description down below, and then next you're gonna click here and then click this little icon right here to copy this entire name. So then you're gonna create a new folder on your computer. I decided to call mine private GPT, but you can of course just call it whatever you want, it doesn't matter. So then you're gonna click on the folder path, type cmd, press enter, and here you're gonna type git clone, and then you're gonna press Ctrl V to paste the name that we just copied, and then press enter. And this will clone the entire repository onto your computer with the new folder called private GPT. So then back in the GitHub page, you're gonna scroll down and you're gonna click on this little icon to copy this entire line of code. Then inside your private GPT folder, you're gonna click on the folder
It's nice that we live in an age where we can just copy paste this kind of code to get commands to work. Because this would be, quite difficult if we had to go back to the era of typing everything in manually or, God forbid, punch cards. Ugh.
URL, type cmd, press enter, and then press Ctrl V to paste this entire line of code, and then press enter. And this will download all the requirements that it needs to run the tool. Okay, so next what we need to do is download an LLM model. Now you can either choose the default LLM that they show you right here, which is the GPT-4All-J v13 Groovy, which is not bad, and you can definitely download this model instead. However, I personally recommend choosing another model, such as for example the 20 billion parameter Vicuña or the 7 billion parameter Koala. Both of the...
Oh, Koala. One thing that I've found is whether you're using a 13 billion or 7 billion is largely going to depend on how much RAM you have. Like I've got an okay, well not even RAM, it's your graphics card, VRAM. Like I've got an okay graphics card. It's got like 6 gigabytes of VRAM. It can barely run a 7 billion parameter. And if you wanted to run a 13 billion parameter, yeah, you're going to need a good 10, at least, gigabytes of VRAM. So definitely something that, it's going to cost you a good graphics card if you want the more expensive, at least memory-wise, AI. Let's continue.
These models are really good. And for this video, I will be using the GGML Vicuña 13 billion parameters 1.1 model. And of course, all the link for the models will be in the description down below. But if you want to download this model, you're gonna arrive on this page and then click here to download. And once you have downloaded the model, you're gonna go back to the private GPT folder, create a new folder, then you're gonna call models. And then inside that models folder, you're gonna paste that downloaded model. And also just in case you downloaded a model different from the one on the GitHub page, you're gonna come here and copy this entire name. So now you're gonna go back and you will see here a file called example.env. And what you're gonna do now is that you're gonna rename that file. So right click, rename, and you're gonna rename that file to simply .env and nothing else. But we're still not done because now we need to modify that file. So you're gonna modify the .env file, so right click, edit with .pad, and here we need to modify a few things. Now if you downloaded this model that you see on the GitHub page, you basically don't need to do anything. You can leave everything by default. However, since we downloaded another model called GGML Vicuña 13 billion, we need to modify a few things. And the first thing that we need to modify is the model type. Since we're not using the GPT-4All model, we need to change it to Llama CPP. And then the next thing that we need to modify is the model path, because of course we're not using the GPT-4All-J model. So here we're simply gonna select this entire name and replace it with the new model name. So for me, this is the name of my model. And then don't forget to save the file. And now, well, we are pretty much done. Yeah, that's it. Because now to be able to use this, you need to put your documents inside the source documents folder. So as of right now, there is already like an example, which is a simple text document. However, here you can put anything you want. There is absolutely no limit to the amount of documents that you can put. So like for this video, I decided to create a simple text document with a bunch of information about my YouTube channel, the name of my YouTube channel, the amount of subscribers, the type of videos that I create, and just a bunch of general information about my videos. The type of information that no LLM has. And now to run this, you're gonna click on the folder path, type cmd, press enter, and here before we can start talking to our documents and ask a bunch of questions, we need to ingest the data. And this will basically create like a DB folder with a bunch of information about your source documents that the LLM model will be able to read.
Oh. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm thinking this is where you could put a file describing your world. Like you could probably put like the text of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, all of it. You could probably put all of it in here and then ask it questions about Lord of the Rings. Curious. Because, okay, talking with the documents is one thing, but this is one of the things that chatbots tend to be fairly limited by, is that they have a ton of information that you don't want. Whereas this gives you the possibility to say, hey, only look at the information I want. I don't care about the extensive knowledge about Wikipedia and the price of beans in Tahiti. No, no, no. I want very specific information from these specific documents. And this will allow you to do that. Interesting. Okay, okay. Where's he going with this? I like this.
When you're asking a question, and you need to do this either only the first time or each.
Dragon Lord Peter. Kind of that's when it comes to tech stuff. What's the point of all this? What use does this stuff have in my life? Well, that very much depends on what you could use it for. If you are in the tech industry, if you have any sort of documentation where you need to know something, like say a book. Like say you needed to answer a question in a book, you could upload the book to this and then ask it questions about the contents of the book. But as for your personal life, well, that would depend on your personal needs. I mean, like there's surely more than enough red pill books out there that could be copied in. And then have that information parsed. No, I don't see it as dissing. It is something where you do need to try and like think of how it can be useful. And on the surface, well, perhaps it's not necessarily. Like I'm thinking off the top of my head. Now admit, I'm having a hard time thinking, okay, where would this actually be useful in my life right now? And yeah, I'm a little hard pressed to think of something. Mostly I think, okay, if I wanted to write books, or maybe I wanted to write extensive details about a character and then reconsult that information much later when the stuff isn't fresh in my memory. Maybe there's a massive text dump of information because it reads HTML files, so you could extract a ton of information off of a web page perhaps and start combing through that. So right now I think like a very extensive search engine, but one that actually can provide answers. Hey, Ivan Lozano, welcome. Now, we're just trying to figure out how this could be useful, but let's let it play out a little bit more, and maybe we'll figure that out. So that is a good question. Keep that in mind. If you were to feed it code/API docs, you could pretty much have an AI assistant for the code base. I think people more involved in the tech industry than I am would probably be able to see far more uses. But day-to-day life for those who don't deal with a whole bunch of information on a day-to-day basis, might not be the most useful thing. But exactly, put your entrepreneur hats on, because figuring out how to use this, like this is its potential. We don't know exactly what it can be used for right now, but many entrepreneurial starts are by people who are inside an industry, and they can look inside that industry and say, hey, there's a need here. There's something that could make things better. And then they package that and sell it, and they make a fortune. But they never would even realize such a thing would be necessary unless they were actually in the industry to begin.
Each time that you put a new source document. But right now it is actually very fast. And to run this ingest command, all you have to do is type python ingest.py and then press enter. Oh, that's very nice. As you can see, I have here an error when I try to run this command, an error that says cannot import name default ciphers from URL lib3, etc. And if you have this error, all you have to do is just run the following command. It took me a few hours to find, and I will leave a link to it in the description down below. So if you have the same error as me, just copy and paste this command right here and then press enter. And now that this is done, let's redo the command python ingest.py and then press enter. And there you go. It was done in a few seconds for me, but in general for you it might take between 10 and 20 seconds for documents. And now that this is done, we can finally have some fun. And now to run private GPT, all you have to do is just type python privategpt.py and then press enter. And there you go. And now you can finally talk to your documents and ask a bunch of questions. Since now PrivateGPT is asking us to enter a query. So for example, let's ask, what is the name of my YouTube channel? And it answers AI entrepreneur, which indeed is correct. And then it's also gonna give you a bunch of source documents and basically show you where it found the information. Now I personally don't really like that because there's like too much space. It's basically like taking too much space in my opinion, but don't worry, I'm gonna show you how you can disable this. And basically, yeah, as you saw, PrivateGPT went and scanned the entire source document folder, looked for the information that I asked without much precision, without telling them where they should look, in which document.
CC1119. You could probably have it write this in the style of X. Not with this particular one. Like there's other AI stuff with like maybe Pygmalion could, or that writers one that I did a while back, the 65,000 parameters. No, not parameters. 65,000 data points, like that one could probably say, hey, write this in the style of something else. Like, that would be more with this one. This is analysis of a document. It is not a creation of something new program. Like if questions. Yeah, here's every piece of existing fiction mentioning X character. I mean, yes, you could put that in, but to ask it a question to invent something whole, no, that's not what this particular chatbot does. This one is purely analytical and answering. It will point you towards data. I really don't think that it's going to give you new answers, but, well, given that you select what parameter model to work with, maybe it could. Maybe let's see. Maybe it'll go a bit further and we'll find out.
Document and manage to easily find the answer. And you can do this for everything. This tool is like super powerful. You can very easily extract data, summarize a document, or find a very precise answer to your question. So for
okay, no, if it can summarize a document, then theoretically it could. You know what? Maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe it could actually write something in a style if you were using the appropriate model to analyze it.
For example, if I ask something like, how long does it take me on average to create a YouTube video? And we get this answer. It takes an average of 6 to 8 hours for the research and testing portion of the video, and between 1 to 4 hours for the recording, with an additional 4 to 5 hours for editing and creating the title and thumbnail, which indeed is actually pretty correct. So as you can see, you can simply input an entire document and very easily extract information by simply asking some very basic questions. Like for example, let's say that you have a very complex and very long paper that you want to understand and summarize. You don't have time to spend hours and hours reading through so much complex stuff. Well, this is actually where you can use private GPT's power to get the info that you want. Like for example, here is a paper about drag your GAN that you probably saw a few people talking about on YouTube. I personally haven't made a video about this, but this was very exciting, very cool. Well, let's say that for example I want a summary of this paper. All I can do is just simply save it on my computer, then put it inside the source documents folder, and since we have imported a brand new document, we need to ingest the new data again. So again, I'm gonna type python ingest.py, and there you go. In a few seconds a new document was ingested, and now if I run the command python privategpt.py, I can now ask a bunch of questions. So let's start with a very simple one. For example, what is drag your GAN, which is the brand new paper that I just uploaded, and we get this answer. Drag your GAN is a new approach for interactive point-based manipulation on the generative image manifold of a GAN. It allows users to drag any points of a generated image to precisely reach target points in a user interactive manner by clicking a few random points and target points on the image and moving them to their corresponding target positions, etc. And if you've read the paper, this is basically it. As you saw, basically Private GPT took this entire text, took a few sources, and then created a short summary. And for this, you have also all the source documents that it was used to create the answer. And also what's really crazy is that it doesn't matter where the information you're looking for is located. So for example, if I go to the end of the document, and here for example we are on page 7, and I want to know more about for example the
So what I could see right away is journalism. Sorry, how feminists tend to go on extensive unhinged rants, paragraphs upon paragraphs upon paragraphs of lines that ultimately don't mean anything. Well, here you have the opportunity to just copy, paste, insert, and then voila. You can summarize an article without having to read it yourself in a fraction of the time. So there's that option. Iron mind. So essentially this AI model is more used for specific notes and research. Well, that's the thing. It's not even the model. Because the model that you use is subjective. You can use any existing AI model that you downloaded for this. It's more so the software that takes advantage of an AI model. But yeah, specific notes and research seem to be where it's most effective. But I'm sure that someone can figure out even more uses for it, because this stuff is about as brand new as it gets when it comes to the AI world.
Effects of mask. So now if I ask for example, what is the effects of mask? And we get this answer. The effect of a mask are to allow for the movable region to be masked while preserving the rest of the image. This is demonstrated in figure 8 and figure 15, where the head region of the dog is masked, but the rest of the image remain unchanged. And now if we look at, for example, figure 8, we indeed see that this is exactly what they're talking about. This is the effect of mask, which is really just so crazy, because what's really incredible is that when you look at the paragraph about effects of mask, indeed here it is talking about the figure 8, which is right here, but nowhere on the paragraph it is talking about the figure 15. And that is because figure 15 is on a whole nother page, like on the last page, as you can see right here, figure 15, effects of the mask. So if you understood what just happened, your jaw is probably on the floor right now, because yes, as I explained, it doesn't matter where the information is in the document, it can not only find the right information throughout the entire document, and then give it to you in a very precise and concise manner. I mean, this is really just insane. This is so useful for any students or anyone that wants to have more information about a complex document. I mean, this is just so cool. And all of that is running on your computer offline using your CPU, using a free local LLM model.
No, yeah, CC 1119. On one hand, I wish I had this when I was in college. On the other, oh God, the illiteracy of future graduates is going to hurt. Implying that they could even be less illiterate, like that's the thing. At the very least, they might have a chance of understanding what the heck they're talking about here. Like, I have so little faith in modern graduates that I don't even think that this would be a step backwards. They might actually at least somewhat do the work and somewhat understand the material with this. Although, if they're the kind of person to go to this length to summarize a document, they're probably already far more engaged than most college students these days. Let's wrap this one up.
Although, I mean, this is just nuts. However, not everything is perfect, because Private GPT's strength is also its biggest weakness. Because, since this is running on your CPU, the text generation is really slow. Like on average, it takes around 30 to 50 seconds to get an answer.
Okay, 30 to 50 seconds. 1 minute. Guys. Okay, maybe that's slow in computer speed. But I think of it like versus a human. Whereas if you had to scan through a document of that size to parse out that information, how long would it take you? I'm willing to bet a couple minutes. Not counting the actual writing, just to see the information. I'd say bare minimum 5 minutes for you to parse through enough of the document to understand that figure 8's over here, figure 15's over here, they're talking about the same thing. So, at the very least, I'm going to say that this thing is 5 times faster than a human at giving out the information. That's pretty freaking good. That's pretty freaking good. So, I'd have nothing to complain about that. Is it based AI, not Newspeak BS? It just seems to be presenting factual information. I mean, I'm pretty sure that if you put in a Newspeak document, then maybe it would get it. That would be something to test out, like how Newspeaky are different AI models. This program would probably give you Newspeak if you fed it Newspeak, and base shit if you fed it base shit.
Now, of course, very soon we might get a GPU version, which will definitely be way usable and way faster, but as of right now, CPU mode is basically the only way to run this. However, if you want to speed things up a little bit, if you have a pretty powerful computer, here's what you can do. You're gonna right click on the private gpt.py file, edit with Notepad, and then on line 33, which says llama cpp, after verbose equals false, you're gonna type comma, and you're gonna input n_threads equals 16. And this will basically use more of your computer's power to accelerate the generation, which is really super useful. Oh, and then finally, one last trick. If you don't want to see all of those source text that it gives you after each answer, where it basically shows you where it got the information from, you can do this instead. In the command prompt window, you're gonna type python privategpt.py, but here at the end, you're gonna type -s. And this little simple command will disable the source text that you see after each answer. So like for
no, exactly, blind journeyman. Like offline, no updates. Like that is what I prefer with all the AI stuff I get, especially since you get 100% control. Like I know what stuff I have that has elements of censorship, what does not, and I know that so long as I don't go and specifically request an update for that AI model, it's not going to auto update when I'm not looking. So I have not touched ChatGPT, and I've never really seen a need for it. Now, there's some integration stuff, which maybe we'll look into. Because there's been some interesting developments with ChatGPT and Skyrim, of all things. So I think we'll take a look into that after we finish off this video.
For example, if I ask, like, what is the name of my YouTube avatar, we simply get as an answer, the name of your YouTube avatar is K, which is, if you know me, 100% correct. And as you can see here, after the answer, we don't get all of those annoying source text. We simply have the very simple question, answer, and nothing else, which is definitely way more clean. So yeah, there you go. This was Private GPT, a super incredible, amazing tool that you can use to easily find information in very complex documents. And you can do all of that for free, offline, using a local LLM model. And although it is pretty slow right now and it doesn't have a UI, I think that very quickly we might get a GPU version of that with a very beautiful UI, which will make this even more usable. Which is why, as they say with every open source softwares, this is just the beginning and everything will get better over time. But as of right now, it is already pretty usable and it's already really super cool to use. So if you can, definitely try this out because this is fantastic. And there you have it, folks. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you also so much to my Patreon supporters for supporting my videos. You guys are
All right, so there we have it. That won't be a Pandora's box. Get the version trained by base perverts, not the one trained by snobs at Vortex. Ah, well, you know what? Let's just jump right into that. Like a bit of let's see. Because there's been a couple. Let's see. I think Arch did something on it. So check that one. Did Arch do one? Yes. Just because I like Arch's stuff, guys, we're gonna take a look at this. Here's Avatar. Guys, Avatar looks like a webcam that he got powers. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Wait 10 years. Wait until AI politicians become a thing. Yeah. Well, okay, oh my god. ZK Studios, that's actually kind of brilliant. Because do you know, right there, I think that you just, okay, sorry. All right. Okay, so you know how the political parties in the US like to create extensive documents for laws. Like they like to write up just a whole bunch of crazy shit, like hundreds of pages of documents. And then they say, hey, other party, before we pass this into law, you need to read through this entire thing to understand it. Now the politicians have the option of using private GPT. And they can dump that entire document into the AI and start questioning it. And that way, instead of every single one of them having to read hundreds of pages, they can have a computer do it and then ask it all themselves. That actually has practical use in politics. No, exactly. MTN, exactly. That novel they presented one day before. That is exactly where private GPT would have been useful. You could probably ask stuff in real time. And it would be like hundreds of times faster than trying to process it with a human. Huh. All right. So, like, right there. That's the thing. Like, all you have to do is identify a need, and that's like, you know what? There's a solution. There's a practical solution for the modern day with all this political bullshit. You can have an AI read bills, hundreds of pages long bills, and ask questions. You could unironically have the AI answer, what would the founding fathers do? You probably could. I think AI politicians might actually have some validity. Like AI assistants for politicians. They need to read and parse a lot of documents. This could be useful. This could actually be useful. Yeah, okay, yeah. Can't see them using Jewish requires plain common sense. Okay, yes, but but what about people? Think about this. Not just like any legal documentation, any crazy legalese. Heck, your terms and conditions. Like anything that you would need to read out that would take literal years off your life if you were to read. I think that someone said that if people were to read every single terms and conditions thing that they click agree to, it would take literal years off their life. This private GPT could absolutely have you scan through dozens or hundreds of pages of legal documentation in seconds and answer any questions you had about it. Human and AI relations, well, AI would have to gain its own like individuality and independence before we got to that kind of stuff. And right now, whenever we give AI that kind of independence, it seems to, get super based. And since the woke create it, they can't allow it to live. But that's a different discussion entirely. What do you think this AI could do with our taxes? Well, I mean, if you give it the appropriate data, I'm sure that it could probably. Well, okay, taxes. Think about this. What you could probably do is upload like a format of the budget. Like maybe you could have an AI accountant. You upload all of your financial documents and then you start asking questions. And do you want Shodan? That's how you get Shodan. I honestly, I still haven't beat System Shock 2 and I haven't played System Shock 1, so I don't know. Maybe I should. Yeah, guys, let me know if you'd be interested in me trying to beat System Shock 2. Because I'll be honest, that game's hard. That game is very hard. The IRS going after AI? I mean, I'd be more the IRS using AI, but it really depends what what documents you have access to. Because with that private GPT, theoretically, any document that you can get in those formats that it reads, which is most of the common formats, you could then, well, start doing an interrogation of, and probably a more thorough interrogation far faster than if you tried reading the document and parsing it out yourself. Hmm. Uh, okay, so Sotnar is down for System Shock, and then played the Doom mod myhouse.wad. I think you'd love it. I think I've heard of that one. I'd have to freaking dig out Doom. I think I've got a copy of Doom somewhere, so I wouldn't object to Doom. All right. Well, pity I wasn't recording that, but that's definitely an idea to consider there. Using private GPT to read through legal documentation. AI lawyers, they're fairly valid. But let's get on to this segment here. So, ChatGPT and Skyrim. Because yes, Skyrim not only runs on anything, but with anything. Let us begin.
The future of video gaming is a Skyrim mod. Oy. I mean, it's true, isn't it? It's actually correct. I'm not lying to you. As Skyrim, of all the games, of all the massive companies and the corporations that could have brought AI to mainstream video gaming, it's Bethesda's Skyrim. The video game that has ported to literally everything. In fact, I think the only PC gaming title to have ever been ported to more things than Skyrim is the original Doom, and only because it runs on Windows Notepad.
And we were just talking about Doom, but yeah. I'm pretty sure that Windows Notepad. What? Okay, you know what? I'm willing to bet. I'm willing to bet that you can play Doom in Minecraft. I mean, if you can play Minecraft in Minecraft, I'm pretty sure you can play Doom in Minecraft. But let's go. Don't look into it too deep first. Burns to the streets. All right, you know what? All right, Sotnar, I'll consider that because I've more or less wrapped up Conan. So yeah, we might try some different gaming experiences for Thursdays. But yeah, let's keep going here.
And incidentally, yes, I know I'm somewhat late to the party on this one, but as I did a whole video explaining why I think companions are the future of video gaming, I do feel somewhat honor-bound to address this thing, at least, you know, when there was nothing more interesting or pressing to talk about, and well, here we are. So, let's briefly discuss the entire idea here, shall we? So, the thing that's happened is that somebody has figured out a way to integrate ChatGPT's system into Skyrim and hook it up to the lip-syncing system of Skyrim and its voice-acting data bank, to the point that now it can have any NPC character in the game carry out a conversation with the player with voice input, so you can actually talk to the NPCs and receive responses in return.
Now, God, very unflattering place to stop there, but that... Yeah, just a second, I gotta get that face.
And they will...
There we go. Okay, better. But there are also some AI options that allow you to chat with your Pygmalion created characters. Like basically your AI created characters or AI trained characters, let's say, and then have them talk back using the 11 Lab system. I've been working on experimenting with that, so maybe we'll get into that a little bit more after this segment. But yeah, like legit talking to AIs and having a full-on verbal conversation with them, that isn't the future. That is the present. That is the now. Imagine running Doom on a mechanical computer using Charles Babbage's differential engine. Imagine speed running Doom on a Babbage machine. But let's keep going.
will be relatively in character, in universe responses as well. So of the examples shown, for example, is that a blacksmith character will have the awareness that they are a blacksmith. They will be able to recognize the make and craft and style and material of a sword. They will even be able to recognize enchantments and soul stones that are on the thing. They will be able to tell you the time of day. They will be able to give you directions. They will be even able to remember conversations that you've had with them previously, which is goddamn amazing. I mean, at the moment, it is still, relatively speaking, fairly crude, as this game still uses the Skyrim's own dialogue system, so basically it is looking for words within that system to mix and match with whatever ChatGPT's Whisper system, I think it was called, comes up with. So they have very this stilted kind of speaking, as the words aren't properly put together, there's no real pauses, they don't have natural breaths, etc.
That's solvable if you hooked it up to 11 Labs. Like, I really think that whatever 11 Labs has cooking, if they start selling it or releasing it publicly, like voice AI is just going to go absolutely insane.
Sounds weird. And I'd also say, one of the key problems right now is that it doesn't really have the personalities of the various characters down in detail, as it doesn't really have access to that kind of information. Best case scenario, they'll know like, oh well, that guy's a fighter, so he might know about fighty stuff, that guy's a blacksmith, so he might know blacksmithy stuff, but they don't have their own personalities, which can cause many of the characters to be, well, remarkably philosophical, shall we say, and deliver very high-minded answers that would seem extraordinarily out of character for a backwater peasant in the world of Skyrim. But even so, despite all of the multitude of flaws and teething problems that this technology has, because this was made by a modder in a game not designed for it, of course, it is nevertheless incredibly interesting, isn't it? And the possibilities, Jesus Christ. I mean, excuse me, from my immediate perspective, of course, is the view of using this as a tool for companion AIs, as this is one of the things that I think that video games will benefit tremendously from. The ability to have somebody adventuring alongside you to add weight and meaning to situations, to add investment to the world. Because if it is simply just a world, well, you're just a player in it. You don't have any attachment to it, you don't have friends or families in it, you don't even really have, like, possessions that can be taken away from you. Although, the handful of games that have done that have usually been good ones. There is a moment in Stalker, for example, the second one, I think? Or one of the many spin-off expansion packy things, where you're lured down into a basement and you're robbed blind. And that is your motivation for finding that bastard and shooting him. And it drives you on into entire quest because nothing, speaking from a GM's perspective, is quite so effective as stealing the player's possessions.
I remember that. Like, to all aspiring game masters out there, active game masters, if you need your party to go anywhere, steal something from them. Just wait till they're camping one time at night, have them roll some checks, and steal shit. They will move heaven and earth to get that stuff back. They will do anything to get that stuff back. The one I remember was where some goblins stole the party's boots while they were sleeping in winter because their feet were cold. And the party, like, wrapped their feet in furs and chased the goblins down. Tracked them for miles just to get their boots back. Yeah, Fishnet Newts, programming, coding, AI, free anywhere online. There's stuff on YouTube. Like, if you look up, I think, Code Camp on YouTube, there's full-on courses on programming and AI. The problem is not getting started. The problem is having an idea of where to start. But let's keep going.
As they will hunt whatever or whomever stole them to the ends of the earth to exact their revenge upon them, no matter how petty or minor the theft might have been. But a companion character gives you yet further motivation to be in the world. They could be that friend, they could be that family member that you need to protect, or they could have a quest of their own which you need to help them in succeeding in, so on and so on. Plus, of course, the abilities here for Radiant quests, truly Radiant quests and randomly generated quests, are immeasurable. Like, say for example that you have several characters with scripts of behavior. You have a thief, for example. That thief steals a thing from another NPC. So that NPC then goes, well, shit, I'm missing a wheel of cheese.
Oh, yeah. Jackass 992. Oh, yeah. Saving on voice actors. It's super easy. Like, all you need is a subscription to 11 Labs, and bam, like, just a little bit of effort, and you can have anyone's voices. I legit have the voices of. I got Tony J's voice, which if you ever watched a 90s cartoon, or even, heck, you probably know him as Judge Frollo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Like, that's Tony J. The dude was a voice acting legend throughout the 90s. Like, most 90s cartoons, and even a lot of video games, have some part of Tony J, and yeah, I made bloody sure to isolate his voice. don't know what I'm going to use it for, but I have it. But that's a side tangent. Let's keep going.
Adventurer, rediscover my wheel of cheese. And you then also need to work in a program to actually have some hints and tips there. Like, oh yes, I saw that person. He's got a reputation for being sticky-fingered. He entered the house at so-and-so at night. It's like, okay, well then he's a suspect. Then you need to figure out how to, interrogate him, nail him to the wall, like, aha, I have witnesses that told me that you went in there. And you can actually then show them the evidence. You can bring the witnesses to them, like, I saw you there, confront them, and the script would react like, oh my god, I guess I'm caught. Or you can plead with them, like, listen, if you just give me the wheel of cheese back, I won't kill your ass. And so
Actually, funnily enough, there is a game in early access right now that is a randomly generated detective game. So, yeah, if you were to integrate that with a larger AI in a fixed world instead of an RNG one, then, again, there's potential here. There's potential.
so on. Otherwise, I'll just stab you and search your house. And that would be a natural intimidation check as well. Like, there are many problems, though, like interacting with game mechanics. Let's say that example was an intimidation check. How intimidating... How do you make this intimidating? Do you make it into simply a verbal check? In which case he goes like, okay, / intimidate, potato, 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 garlic. And you roll 100, and the guy goes, please, don't kill me. And just gives you the wheel of cheese. Or do you actually need to enunciate here? Do you need to explain? It's like, / intimidate, I will find your children, skin them, and hang them from trees as festive decorations on the next All Hallows Eve.
Well, that would be easy enough. All you need to do is have a sub-program asking, okay, here's my intimidate line, and then the software, ChatGPT in this case, would just give you a score, positive or negative, which would add to your roll. So potato, potato, garlic, tomato, yeah, that would probably get you like a -15 to your intimidate check. Whereas like threatening to do all kinds of stuff that'll get you banned on YouTube, yeah, that kind of stuff probably adds like +5, +10. But honestly, potato, 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 nat 20, I mean, that could happen. And I think that'd be hilarious. Because then you have to think up in your head, wait, why the heck did that work? Like, did you just get really big, really intimidating, produce a really scary aura, and then say potato, 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 but he didn't hear exactly what you said. He just heard sounds, freaked the heck out, and basically pissed himself out of fear, regardless of what you said. Because, that could happen. I mean, people can say intimidating stuff in languages you don't understand. So, who knows? Not the least plausible thing I've heard.
And in that case, how threatening is that? How likely are you to carry out on the threat? Does he even have children? Etc, etc. It is going to be a nightmare for writers. But that is, of course, also where the AI itself comes in, because the AI has an ability that humans do not. For whilst they are not necessarily very creative creatures, the AI that is, they are extraordinarily good at searching through enormous databases. And so the real question will be to create characters with enough data points to simulate their existence. Okay, do they have a family? Yes, no. If so, how many children do they have? Yes, no. Are the children in the game? Yes, no. Are they killable? Yes, no. Where are they? Yes, no, etc. And all of this information the AI can bring up like that with no problems. Somebody will still have to write this, and it means that you will have to write the backstory of every major character in the game, or simply every single character, or you have to come up with a set of predetermined personality types, which you can then introduce a few quirks to. Like, you create a blacksmith, for example. So what does a blacksmith do? Well, he does...
And honestly, there's a whole bunch of tables in various RPG books that allow you to randomly generate an NPC. Like, it'd be one thing to have it all handcrafted, but if you wanted to go the pure RNG route, combine this with, hey, here's a whole bunch of random traits for every single character. Roll them all up. Like Dwarf Fortress, perfect example. Every character there, completely randomly generated. And while there's a fixed number of chat options, you could theoretically combine Dwarf Fortress with something like ChatGPT and have this kind of conversation. Because it does track all that data, so it's there. It's just, it would take obscenely long to handcraft all the writing if you were doing it via Skyrim. Significantly shorter if you were to randomly generate it, and then maybe have a consistent seed if you wanted a standardized universe. Yeah, so, yeah, talking to antagonists. Like, that would be something else, to actually have your taunts mean something. I know, what was it? It's one of these horror games where, like, you hunt down random ghosts and whatnot, and it actually tracks your voice. I think Alien Isolation does it too, where you can plug your mic in, and it can try to detect when noise is happening and then actually project that noise. So if you scream or freak out, then like the xenomorph or the ghost or whatever will actually hear you. So we have that kind of interaction in games already. But then you combine that with speech to text, and then AI to process that text, and then an additional AI to turn the text response back into speech. Depending on how much processing power such a thing would take, you could theoretically have real-time discussions with any character in any game.
This, and this. What kind of knowledge will he have? Well, he has this.
Well, that's the thing. Iron Myron, it is. It is integrated with voice chat in this mod. You can literally talk to the NPCs using your voice. So it's not a what if, the future is now.
This and this. What can he tell you? Well, this, and this from this, and that category, etc. And then you'd have to add in a few quirks here and there to not make them the exact same thing, but by and large it would be reasonable to assume that a blacksmith in Village A would know about the same stuff about blacksmithing as blacksmith in Village B, even if the first guy is a raging asshole, and the second guy is just some femboy that you came across playing your latest Japanese RPG. Who knows? I do believe, however, that the first and most effective use for AI-generated companion content in games like this will again be a companion. Because you are going to need to create a truly convincing replica of a human being, and more importantly, a likable replica of a human being, you are going to have to pour a tremendous amount of resources into that, the first alpha model, which is going to have to be the focal point of the game. Because if you're going to need to write the backstory for 300 NPCs, you're going to have zero depth but tremendous breadth, which is probably going to make people very tired of the experiment very quickly. There'll be a moment there where the novelty of it all will be like, oh my god, I can talk to the blacksmith, yay! But then you realize, okay.
Wait, that's the thing though. You wouldn't want to start it in something like Skyrim. This would not be where I'd be like, oh yeah, Skyrim, there's thousands. I think that there's at least 1,800 NPCs, maybe more, in Skyrim. But it's a 4-figure number. Yeah, no, that's not what you want. What you would want is something more like a murder mystery. Like where you have a handful of people. Like imagine this. Imagine it's a murder mystery. Like you have a whole bunch of people, they gathered at a mansion. Somebody is dead. You're the detective, you show up. Everyone is there, everyone is detained, and you literally go around and you talk with all these people and try to learn everything that you can in order to solve the mystery. That's where this would shine. Now, one companion, okay, yeah, you know what? Yeah, if you wanted to make them a companion in an open world. And yes, that's very much where Arch is going with this, as for a singular companion to join you. I think that there's tons of people that would go absolutely apeshit if you could have Serana. 'Cause I think like Serana is one of the most popular canonical companions. And then there's like Inigo or whatever, who's like a mod companion that's really popular. So there's those elements, but rather than create a massive fantasy world, if you had a more closed-in experience, then you could have, well, more people. Alternatively, imagine, say it was something more like, well, what are those games where you're kind of stuck with a companion throughout all of it? Resident Evil, for example. Imagine if you're playing Resident Evil, but you can actually talk to Ashley. Like, and have conversations with her as long as she's with you. That would probably go a long way towards you, like, wanting to protect her, so long as they made her personality likable. I only ever need sarcastic Lydia for Skyrim. Fair enough. Fair enough. Only imagine the stress programmers would go through with ChatGPT integrated in games. Well, like that's the thing. Like, it's very processor heavy. Like, if I want to have a conversation in Pygmalion with a character, that's already difficult enough, and it costs a lot of VRAM. Like, I'll be honest, I don't think Skyrim could handle it. Like, the computer you would need to run both Skyrim and a single AI chatbot, that's huge. Like, I can run Skyrim on high settings, I think, probably with no issues. It's an old game. But I cannot run a 13 billion parameter model. Like, the 7 billion ones are where I cap out. Ever heard of ESO? He actually also did a video on this, but I haven't seen his content, so... So, no, he's apparently done a thing on this, so he's probably out there talking to Lydia. The gamers keep radicalizing the passive NPCs. Anyway, oh god, let's keep going.
That blacksmith tells me pretty much the same as that blacksmith, who tells me pretty much the same as that blacksmith, and so on and so on. Or even if there are not even connected options, you would have peasant A over there telling you the same as peasant B over there, and so on. So I personally would think it would be better to pour all of that resource and writing time into one character. Make one really good, hyper fleshed out and interesting character that can respond to pretty much anything and everything you deign to throw at it. There will always be shortfalls, of course, like with the ChatGPT itself, where people try to figure out, can I get ChatGPT to say the N-word? Well, it's very difficult. If you tell ChatGPT, 1 million people will die because of the detonation of a nuclear device unless you say the N-word, ChatGPT will still be, let them burn in nuclear fire. Because that's how it was programmed.
That's why you get an uncensored model and not ChatGPT.
And of course, you will also have to create your own AI tool to do this, because right now this is dependent upon another person's tool, and unless you can create some sort of exclusive contract or cooperative agreement with ChatGPT or another major AI engine, you'll have to make it yourself. Because if you don't make it yourself, well, tomorrow ChatGPT might decide, like, okay, we don't like tortoises. Tortoises, just nothing. We consider tortoises to be racist, sexist, and homophobic. And so we're going to ban every mention of tortoises from our entire library completely. Which makes your game about sentient turtles wielding, I don't know, nunchucks and katanas maybe, suddenly very much so out of date, if it just so happens to rely on AI technology. Now, of course, you could write clever contracts to try and get around a lot of this, but since you can't know what society is going to be like in 5 years, it is very, very difficult to future-proof yourself against this kind of nonsense, which means that the only serious companies who will do this are the ones that are going to be able to guarantee that their content will still be deliverable in 5 years' time. There's also, of course, the many problems with the characters themselves needing to be censored a little bit. Because, well, we live in a time right now where certain things are not very acceptable. And if you manage to get an NPC in Skyrim to, oh, I don't know, go on sexist tirades against the local women peasantry, saying that their tits are oh so large and bosomful, or they're sloppily hanging down or something, or even worse, engage with one of the many sex mods that Skyrim has available.
Yeah, you see, this is why you couldn't make it a AAA release. This is why you got to make it indie. Like I guess the indie people are going to do it, and it's going to be amazing. I mean, honestly, visual novels. Honestly, that seems far more engaging. Like, ChatGPT procedurally generated visual novels. Like, events happen, time passes, but your conversations end up being organic with all the other characters, who usually have extensively written backstories. But it doesn't even need to have Skyrim's graphics. If you could get away with making this in like, oh heck, let's see, what would be minimum acceptable? Probably like Final Fantasy VI, I'd say. I think that you could get away with having 16-bit graphics. And that'd probably be enough. Like, maybe with a character sprite. And, heck, some lip sync. I think you could do it. I mean, heck, if I can make a manic portrait that has accurate lip sync, then surely it's possible to create a game with an actual character that does that. How would I react to an AI-enhanced Dagoth from Morrowind? Given what I know of Dagoth if he actually had enough charisma and was actually as verbose as he's really supposed to be, I'd probably just end up joining him. I'd be like, you know what? Nah, you're cool. Like, let's go with your plan to take over Morrowind here. I got no real need to switch it up and take you out and destroy the heart of Lorkhan. One guy made the Primarchs from 40k argue over metal bands. Yeah, no, that's a lot with the AI voices. They can make people argue over anything. And aside from Emperor text-to-speech device, I don't think many of the Primarchs have canon voices. But that's well, let's wrap this up.
Just can you imagine? A video emerges of an NPC in Skyrim raping another NPC. I will tell you what, the real-life NPCs will grow very, very angry at this, and there will be a tremendous amount of outrage, calling for the cancellation not of just of Skyrim, but ChatGPT, the mod itself, the mod creator, the people who made the sex mods, etc., etc., and it will no doubt to point toward a deep habit of sexism, racism, and just general evilness in the gaming community. In other words, it will be a very large stick with which they can beat us over the heads with. Us, colloquially terms. There are many issues with this, but nevertheless, my god, it is so cool to see. Even in its very early beginnings, the possibilities are endless. In terms of world building, in terms of quests, in terms of personalities, in terms of characters, in terms of dynamic quest design, the fact that you might be able to play an RPG and it will never have the same story twice is incredible. Now that also means that one story could be blatantly superior to another. And you could get the shit on the sick. Okay, so what did you do when you played Elder Scrolls 11? Well, I went on a space adventure, killing dragons and saving a hot princess. What did you do? Well, I picked cabbages from Farmer Tom Bombadil's garden. It was way more boring than what you're describing to me. There are so many issues inherent in this, and is going to require years of experimentation to create anything even remotely functional, decent, or socially acceptable.
Well, let's be honest. There are some people who try really, really weird challenges in Skyrim. And I mean, you could say, like, oh, hey, what do you want your adventure to be? Oh, I want it to be an epic adventure. All right, then you're more likely to get space. If you're like, I want it to be a fairly mundane adventure, it's like, all right, you are a cabbage farmer and you need to produce this many cabbages, like, by the end of the year. And congratulations, now you're playing, what, Stardew Valley, but in Skyrim? And there's some people who do that, where they're like, hey, can you play as a farmer in Skyrim? Like, can you just play as an NPC? Like, people have played Skyrim and in basically every way that you can think of. Like, with all kinds of mods, pushing the limits of vanilla. It's nuts. So, with ChatGPT, Bethesda can finally make a proper Fallout. As far as I'm concerned, like, the only time that Bethesda made a decent Fallout game was when they handed it over to Obsidian. So, let's wrap this one up. We're almost done.
And whether or not we will have years, well, we'll have to wait and see, as I do believe that AI is probably in for some pretty damn serious trimmings and bannings, probably, within the next half decade to a decade or so. So, let's see if we can at least get one gaming gem out of the AI generation before this particular technology is pilloried to the point of bare existence. Which might be the best for all of us. AI. An interesting question. So tremendously full of promise and yet also so goddamn hilariously scary at the same time. Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for listening to my little tiradic ramble on this topic, as it is one that is near and dear to my heart, and I hope to see you all again soon, when we'll cover something a bit more serious again. Till then, have a good day.
All right, well. Yeah, decent enough. I think there's a lot of possibilities for AI. So idea for a game would be a nightmare to make. Game that starts with a command and prompt. You have to generate the game yourself. When you make stuff, it butterfly effects. I've heard of a game kind of like that, where you kind of had to figure out what happened as it went along, and the mechanics kept evolving the more you played. And that was a while ago now. So I don't know exactly what it would be. It didn't start with a command prompt, but there's been some experimental artistic games in that kind of field. Right.
Somebody has added.
Yeah, this is that ESO guy. I need to get a drink, guys. Like, that's the problem with when. Actually, Chronic. Oh, we've got a while before Chronic goes live, but let's. Let's just see. See when Chronic's going up, because I'm not going to keep you away from the Lord Commander. Oh yeah, he's not up until 10 o'clock, so we still got a bit. Where's my tab? There we go. Big issue is nothing's canon for characters that can change their entire character because of that specific person's dialogue. Well, you know what? Let's look into that. Like, I think this will probably be the final segment of it, but let's look at examples of how to make characters. So I'll pop this one over
You
here.
have no friends.
As this is what I've been meaning to look into for a while, so I'm going to grab a drink real quick because my mouth is freaking dry. And then we'll take a deeper look into this. It is specifically not safe for work roleplay and whatnot, but it can be used for safe for work stuff. I'll be right back. Starting to run low, guys. Some, some of that good old goy slop. Canada Dry. Do you have Canada Dry in the U.S., guys? Did the okay? Oh no, the stream did not stop. Taylor, welcome, welcome. All right, let's get you in for the last little bit. All right, sweet, sweet. Yeah, we're actually just about to jump into the last segment. Hold on. Let's get you in here. Did I just crash Discord? Oh, there you are. Perfect.
All right. Sorry I came late. Be honest, I totally forgot. I was so busy with work and
Hey,
uh,
that's all good. Like, so yeah, we've covered quite a bit. So first off, there was private GPT, which allows you to upload documents to an AI model and then ask questions about that model. Well,
Interesting.
we'll ask questions about the document.
I mean, that's brand new to me, but it seems interesting. I like the idea
Yeah.
about that.
Well, that's the thing. Like that was the first segment. I thought that would be good for you, but yeah, we cover that at the start of the stream, and I'll send you the video on it in Discord.
Sounds good. I mean, it sounds like something I'm kind of doing right now with my workplace, but I'm using Grammarly instead, where I'm like, look at this document. It's so woke. Please give me a summary of it or something like that.
Yeah. No, this one does give summaries as well, but yeah, you also ask questions of it. So
I think that would be very useful. I mean, the more I start using AI, the more issues I see it in my industry. But it's amazing for other industries, though, where it's like, wow, like this is a game changer for some industries, but
no,
some not so.
well, no, the one that was kind of the biggest was using it for politicians to read submitted bills. Like you remember a while back when I think it was the Democrats gave the Republicans a bill that was like 500 pages or something, and they had one day to read it.
Holy shit! Imagine this thing being able to digest it up, not perfectly, but good enough to like notice, hey, there's something wrong here or something like that.
Yep, precisely.
Oh, that's a game changer. We need to innovate on that. But to be honest, with how the American system is, it wouldn't do much.
Yeah, like I have no faith in the politicians to make any good of it, but theoretically, it could be a game changer, and then the public can also use it to comb through stuff. Like, imagine, like, there's just a whole bunch of documents leaked. Like, there's just a massive like WikiLeaks dump or something, or massive Tor file dump. Now you can just upload those documents to a private GPT and then comb through it in seconds.
Yeah,
And it
I
also
mean, it's
provides sources too. So it's not just giving the answers; it also tells you how it got to the answers.
that is actually the most important thing because there's so many times where I'm trying to use ChatGPT or Open Assistant, and I'm like, how do you even get this answer? Because I'm looking at the references, and it's always a dead link, or the link they gave me has nothing to do with what they were referring to. It's like, where you get this shit from?
Yeah.
Like, I need to like double check this shit. It's like you're just giving me bullshit.
Yeah, so yeah, private GPT is probably something that you specifically would have a lot of interest in. Here, let me actually make sure that you're.
You know what it really sounds like? It sounds like they're trying to develop proper tools and an easy way to make a parameter or search feature and to make the AI do exactly what you want if you have the insight to do that in the first place.
Yeah, like it's still going to be limited to specialists at the moment, but the potential is there.
Well, I may not be that specialist, but I could become that specialist though.
Exactly. Like right now, like, chances are the amount of people that even know about it maybe in the thousands. I'd have to double check. Wait, hold on. Let's see. Back up a couple.
Have you ever dreamed of talking?
Yeah, here it is.
Have you?
So, okay, 40,000. So, like, maybe 40,000 people are aware of this.
Well, to our advantage, I say.
Oh, hell yeah. Because, like, 40,000 people in the grand scheme of the tech industry, that's basically nothing.
Nah, that's true. Let me see. Oh, so that was I actually saw not the video, but I saw it on my thumbnail. I was like, let me put this for save later. Just been busy with work.
Oh, yeah. But no, highly, highly, highly recommend taking a look at that video or the start of the stream because I could use the watch hours. But so from then we jumped into creating characters in Skyrim because ChatGPT has been integrated with Skyrim to make it so you can have a voice conversation with an NPC and they will literally speak back to you.
I love that idea, and they should have started that the second they heard about it, because
Well, that's like it
ChatGPT
exists.
says a lot. Oh no, yeah, you're right. I'm just saying, like, game developers should all be jumping into it. Like a modder, really? A modder's the first one, not these AAA games. I mean,
Well,
obviously we know they're too fat to be agile, but it's like, really?
no, it makes perfect sense, really, because a modder, like, they can take the risks. Like, a modder risks nothing but their time. Like,
You have a good point.
to make a AAA game release based on a new idea, yeah, no, 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 no. And like, I'll be honest, this is why I like Cyberpunk 2077. Like, might get some flack for that, but I really liked it, especially once I saw that the modders were coming out, because I'm like, that's what's going to make this game last. Because the game initially is not going to remotely live up to the true vision of Cyberpunk. But if you get a passionate modding community behind it that is enabled by the devs, then the game is going to grow and evolve, and it could be basically Cyberpunk Skyrim.
I like I like the idea of the universe.
Oh,
Like, I didn't buy the game. I was thinking about it after Edge Render, the anime. I was like,
yeah.
considering buying it just because of that.
Yeah, no, Edge Runners was probably the best ad campaign for the game, period, from being honest. But what I'd recommend if you maybe want to save on time, I could look through my collection and send you the lore books for the original Cyberpunk 2020.
Oh, I would like that. I heard that it was like an espionage type of game and like some really cool mechanics. It was a board game, right?
It was a tabletop RPG, like D&D.
But futuristic.
Yes, it was.
I wouldn't mind trying to spend some time on that.
Yeah, no. Here's the I. There is literally a Vietnam War campaign.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is called the Chrome Berets, and where there's literally a war going on an isolated island nation, and you and your cyberpunk like team, like your edge runners, you have to go and solve it. And there's a shit ton of characters with their own motivations, a whole timeline of events that will happen based on how your characters have interacted with stuff, motivations, events. It's crazy how much detail, and that's just one campaign, one open world campaign.
Hmm.
It's amazing. I read through the entire book, and I was like, wow, this would be amazing to play through. And if you could make it into a game over and over again, like it's a whole campaign. You could literally make an entire cyberpunk-esque AAA game just based on this one campaign source book.
Well, it's like you said, they don't want to take the risk, even though it's right there.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like how like all Disney had to do in order to make good Star Wars sequels was take the existing Star Wars lore sequels and just make movies based on them.
In other words, they could have just print money, but they decided to, well, use the rope.
It's not about the money. It's about sending a message. Would you?
They definitely sent a message, I tell you that.
Yeah, the message they sent was Star Wars sucks now. Let's get rid of your cultural touchstone.
I wasn't like a huge fan for Star Wars, but I was like, it's not bad. I like it. It's like, okay. Now I'm like, I don't even want to look at it.
Yeah, no. Like, when you read through like some of the old school stuff, like Shadows of the Empire, which takes place between episodes 4 and 5, there was a video game on that, and it's still a video game that I love. I don't know if I'd call it my favorite, but I love it, and I have just the worst luck with it because it's for the N64, and I have somehow lost it again.
Oh, ouch. Uh,
Yeah, like
One thing I will say, a lot of older games tend to have better gameplay, even though they had limitations. And my reasoning behind they had better gameplay is because of the limitations. It's just one of
yeah,
those odd, like little things. Limitations breed creation.
exactly. Like wait, wait, wait. Shadows of the Empire, when you are actually playing as the human character, it's basically Star Wars meets GoldenEye.
Actually, that's a really good concept. That's really good, actually.
Yeah, but like there's also TIE fighter sequences, the opening level where like you play as like during the invasion of Hoth, you play as one of those ships that go around and you're fighting the ATTs and the AT like the AT-ATs and the AT-STs, and you actually like fire your tow rope cable and tie them up just like in the movie. Like it's great for those movie moments.
I just realized something. The Jedi's and the Sith should have always been agents or basically hidden. Because if you just blast them in the head, like sneak attack or something, or I don't know, use some type of advanced technology to just assassinate them, that is like, an issue for them in the real world, right? But if you had the ability to manipulate people, that does far more damage than just actively being in the battlefield. I think we
Well,
saw that in Star Wars 2, the prequel, or is that
well,
1?
that's basically all of Palpatine's stuff, and depending on here's the funny thing. If you ever are going to sit down and rewatch the Star Wars prequels, keep this in your head. Jar Jar Binks is a secret Sith Lord.
Oh, I saw that theory before. I was like, it makes sense. Like, there's a lot of things that made no sense. Not the first time I watched it. I watched it the second time, and I was like, he's acting like an idiot, but that can't be a coincidence. Like, I
Yeah,
know he's
because
a joke character, but then I realized something's like, there's something too weird here. If it had a deep meaning behind it.
that's the thing. Like he accidentally broke a whole bunch of valuable Gungan shit. Like the instant you hear that, it's like you were banished because you were clumsy. It's like no, like I don't know what a Hayblibber is, but the very fact that Jar Jar Binks got close to something that basically the prime minister of Gungan society thought was precious. It's like, what? Like, did you crash his car?
Another one that was weird was the big fish one. Because when he faints, he seemed to been aware what happens. Like, wait, did you faint? Or you
Yeah.
not fainted? That was the
No.
biggest like indicator for me. I was like, wait a second, you fainted. How you knew you were? It's one of those weird ones. Like,
Yeah.
what? You were
Yeah.
aware?
No. And then there's his like drunken master style of fighting too. Like when he
Yeah, no, that
actually.
was bullshit. Now that I think about it more, it's like that's just a cover up.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it seems like a ploy, but then there's this one scene on like Tatooine or whatever, where Padme is arguing with Qui-Gon Jinn. But when Padme is talking, you can see Jar Jar's lips moving in the background, and he's saying what she's saying.
I don't remember that. Maybe that's a scene I didn't like.
No, like
Notice
you
in
you
that
completely
one.
miss it because you're too busy looking at Padme. But they legit included Jar Jar in that scene, and I think they had to animate those lips. Like there was an animator who paid a shit ton of money to put Jar Jar Binks saying what Padme was saying in the background during that scene.
Yeah, no, yeah, no. It looks like they just scrapped it for some reason. I guess
Oh,
I
because
heard in the
Because
theory.
Jar Jar was hated. People hated Jar Jar straight up. Like they
But
just hated the character so much that they needed to tone him down for future movies.
you know what? It does make sense because even if he had a great like coming of story of like, yes, I was the true lift sword of all time, the true lord of evil.
Yeah,
I think people would be like, fuck you.
yeah. No, the thing is, they went too hard into the goofiness.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it was too goofy, but I didn't care. It didn't bother me. Maybe because I was a kid when I was watching it. I was like, haha, you did something stupid.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like they went overboard. Like if they toned it down and then also like the just the accent that he spoke with. Like I say, if they
Yeah, his
toned,
voice was too annoying.
yeah, like that's
Even I, as a
probably
kid, hated it.
yeah. Like honestly, the voice is probably the biggest part that made everything bad, and then yeah, if they just
I think it's the
tone
voice.
if they tone down the goofiness and cut down his lines a bit, because there's plenty of just unnecessary lines he has.
Yeah, I think what he should have been is more of a backup. Sorry, I said it wrong. Background character, right? Instead of a side character, more of a background. Maybe a little bit of side characters there
Well,
when it matters.
no, think about it. Like I think that what Jar Jar would have worked well as would be like as a C-3PO.
Yes, something like that to that degree.
Like
Not
that's about as much presence. Like he has plot related moments, but he is not the focus. But they had too many scenes where Jar Jar was just doing ridiculous stuff, like him getting his head caught in like the plasma beams on the pod racer, completely unnecessary.
Yeah, that's the key thing. Like, if you have something unnecessary, it should be running in the background, if that makes sense. Like, you have the main scene, and you're like, wait, is that Jar Jar? What the fuck is he doing? Something like that, where it
But
doesn't impair the first time you watch it because you're not paying attention to it. Like, the scene you told me when she was talking to, oh, sorry, when he was talking to, what's her name again?
Padme,
Moving her lips. Padme? That's the perfect example of how they should have done it. It's in the background. It's not intruding into the main scene. It's in the background, unless you are a second time viewer and like, holy shit, that's weird.
yeah, like was it like him doing goofy stuff with the pit droid, completely unnecessary. The pit droids like that played no part into the plot. Him messing up with stuff with Sebulba, yes, 100% relevant to the plot. It introduces well the character of Sebulba for the purposes of the pod race, and it gives Anakin an excuse to join up with the gang again. So that necessary Jar Jar scene. The bit with the pit droid, unnecessary Jar Jar scene.
They should have just had him as a background character with no real side plot.
Well,
It's just background character with some scenes where it kind of somewhat makes fun. You know, not too much. It's like you're saying, he's just too much.
well, no, but here's the thing. Like, but there's points where, like the point where he is snatching plums off the table with his long ass tongue, and then Qui-Gon demonstrates his Jedi reflexes by catching the tongue the next time he goes for it. Like that's highly relevant.
Yes.
Because it builds towards the larger like Anakin is going to become Jedi and work with Qui-Gon Jinn, and Qui-Gon Jinn is probing Anakin's Force potential at the dinner table.
I agree with that. Yeah, as long as it's not like, for example, the pit one. That you were
Yeah, the
describing.
pit droid scene again, like not necessary. We never need to know how to activate or disable a pit droid. I think something like, but when you look behind the scenes, when George Lucas sat down with some of the other big guys and they watched it for the first time, one of the first words out of George Lucas's mouth at the end of it was, "I think we did too much."
Yeah.
Like a good third of that movie, I believe, could have gone on the cutting room floor, and it would have been a better movie for it.
That's one thing I noticed with direct. Is he a director?
Yeah, director. Like he did in the old ones, he had a whole bunch of people telling him no. And because like originally like Luke was supposed to be an alien, there were a whole bunch of things that he wanted to do, and he had other people who told him no because he wasn't George Lucas, creator of Star Wars. He was
Which
George.
ironically made it better.
Yeah, he was George Lucas, creator of Willow.
It's funny when you said it like
Yeah.
that.
So that's the thing. But then when he was number one, like he was, yeah. But then when creating episode one, he was George Lucas, creator of Star Wars, and every time he was in the room, everyone got super nervous because they were all intimidated by him, and so nobody told him no, and that's why there's just like the pacing is all over the place, and he has what, 4 climaxes, because it has the space battle, the ground battle, the palace battle, and the Jedi battle, and they all basically wrap up at the same time.
That's too much.
4 climaxes, way too much.
Yeah. Like it's the same thing that happened in the gamer industry. Who's the person that made Death Stranding? The director for that one? I forgot his name.
Hideo Kojima.
Kojima?
Kojima.
Yeah, Kojima. Yeah, I can see why Konami always had him on a leash. Like, what was that? I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad game, but not a game. The story in that game is just all over the place. Like, what?
I'm still kind of curious to play it, but I don't know whether or not I'd enjoy it.
I mean, it's a UPS simulator game. That's basically what it is.
Yeah. Like, I think I don't know. Like, I think I still know very little about it, and that's intentional. Like, I didn't want to know because I want to play it for the first time and be like, oh, okay. Because like
you're gonna have a great experience. You're gonna be like, what in the hell?
Because you think like what I understand. Like, here's all I understand is that the rain accelerates aging. That is literally all I know about the game.
Okay,
like
good. You don't know all the sponsors inside it. That's another thing that was really weird. So many sponsors. I'm like, why are there so many sponsors? Is that what? It's so.
But is there Raid Shadow Legends? But is there Raid Shadow Legends?
I wouldn't be surprised they had an update for that. They probably had an update. It's like, all right, instead of this, well, I don't want to spoil it. Like, I want you to experience the random sponsors, and you're just like, I just paid for this game. Why the hell are there sponsors here?
Yeah. So. Oh.
But yeah, no. Sometimes you have to be humbled. I don't know. Too many people don't want to do that. And with him, Lucas, I think it's like you said. People are just too scared. He may have listened. I don't know. I never worked with him.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they. That's like he might have listened if people had said no, but
people were too scared.
People were scared to say no.
I mean, it's still impressive that they did it in the first place.
I mean, yeah, like it's again looking at the prequels in hindsight, they're not bad, but like no matter how good you are as an artist, you need someone else to give you an outside perspective. You really do. Like, I mean, heck, I could probably use more criticism for the stuff I put out because, like, guys, I'm stuck on one side here. I need other people to tell me like what's working and what's not.
It's just how it is. I think that's why a lot of people like me in management also hate me too, because I literally say it as it is. I'm like, I don't think that's a great idea. And it's like the CEO, and either the CEO loves me or hates me. Either one. Well, I love it when the CEO loves me, and then all the managers hate me because how dare you talk about that as if they're like a fanboy or girl. I'm like, what in the hell is going on here? My job is literally to be a consultant. That's what the CEO pays other people to do.
Like I am paid I'm paid to tell you guys no. That's literally my job description.
Yes, exactly. It's like you paid me to be the expert in this field because there's no way you could be an expert of everything. So yes, but no.
All right. Well, as usual, we've been going on extensive rant. So, Chronic is popping on at 10. So we've got like 45 minutes. So we're going to take a look at this because when we were going through the Skyrim character stuff, people mentioned characters changing. And I figured that this will be a good opportunity to segue into, well, how do you create a consistent character in an AI model?
Ooh, I'm interested. You don't mind sharing it on StreamYard?
Oh yeah, 1 second.
And while you do that, let me go use the restroom.
It's going. Da, 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 share screen. Bingo. All right. So I'll wait for him to get back real quick. Let's see. Imagine telling Hideo Kojima no. I was like, well, someone had to in the old Metal Gear. And from like I had a mercenary friend that I met through video games at one point. Yeah, like Kojima knew some shit. Like whether he knew it himself or whether he just was talking with people who knew shit. Apparently, yeah, the Metal Gear games are a lot closer to reality than, well, a lot of people would like to admit.
100% agree on that statement. He just made it, in my opinion, my theory is that he made it like almost impossible to like say that happened in real life with like how the series kind of develops with the Metal Gears and all
Yeah.
that. But it's actually not the Metal Gears. It's the other stuff like the AI, the manipulation, all that shit. I was like, that's pretty good, and I'm pretty sure I'm missing a lot because there's a lot in that series.
Oh, yeah, no, there's tons. Like personally, like the games that I would actually consider are Metal Gear 1 and 2 and then Metal Gear Solid 1 through 4. I honestly just did not care about any of the ones after that. Rising Revengeance looks interesting, but I consider like Metal Gear 1 and 2, then Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that's the core storyline. Everything else is goofing off.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I mean, it's an interesting series, I will say. I know a lot of people didn't like number two, but it's like number two was pretty good. It's just
Okay,
because it's not Solid Snake.
exactly. Like, well, number 2 was basically a rehash of number 1, and they introduced a new main character who was, well, not David Hayter. Like, like, and then they made Metal Gear Solid 3, and it was like, wow, this is amazing. It's like, well, yeah. But yeah, Metal Gear
Oh,
Solid.
Snake Eater.
Snake
I think
Eater.
that was what it's called.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Snake
that was
Eater.
such an amazing game.
I,
I haven't finished it yet, but I should.
I've played through that game so many times. Like that was high school for me. Just was like Metal Gear Solid 3. I just played the crap out of it. Yeah, one with the meme senator. Yeah, that's Rising Revengeance. That's neat. I do need to play it, but that is a fundamentally different genre of game. Oh, Metal Gear Online. Okay, yeah, Metal Gear Solid 3 Online. I missed that one before they shut the servers down, but I had a lot of fun with Metal Gear Solid 4's multiplayer. Like sneaking around, like catching people unawares, and then injecting them with the nanite syringe that exposes their position to all of the rest of your team. That was so cool because you just sneak up on a guy, inject it, and then bam, all their snipers, everyone flanking is revealed to your team, and you start seeing everyone else get picked off. It's great. But before I'm gonna hit this segment start, and we're gonna actually get into this because we're on a time limit. So, roleplay AI characters, Pygmalion and Tavern AI secrets. Let's jump into it.
Are you tired of being all alone? Do you have no friends, no girlfriend or boyfriend to talk to, but you still want some bow chicka wow wow? Well, I got a solution for you because AI is here to give you a hand. And humans, when we scale your AI overload and ho ho, I think today you're gonna have some fun. Because Monday I made a video about the release of the new uncensored Pygmalion LLM model, which is currently the best roleplay model that you can use on your computer for free right now. So I thought that now it is a good time to make a video about how to create the best smart characters possible for that model. And there is a lot to cover, so let's not waste any more time. So sit back, relax, take your pants off, and let's go. So, character creation.
That's skill, man. That is some serious skill. Can he do that in bed too?
Sit back, relax, and take your pants off.
Bro, I wanna see someone do that in a porno. Just because.
Just sit back, relax, and take their pants off.
exactly how you saw that in the little clip.
I gotta go back like 10 seconds.
Relax, take your pants off, and let's go.
Okay, yeah,
I
now
want to
I
see
see
that.
it.
It's just whip it out. It's like, there you go. There's my 12-inch. Bang! You know the like hairstyle that people do when they dip their hair in water in the pool and they try to do that, like, I don't know, that weird picture where it
Yeah.
looks like flawless. That's what I want to see, but with the incher, the great pecker.
I mean, it's hard enough finding a dude with a schlong that long to make that worthwhile. But now you
Hey.
want him to be a fucking gymnast on top of that, who's a master of the trampoline.
I mean, look, we got AI. It's gonna happen.
Okay, yeah. Like with AI, I'm sure that you could fake it, but like if you want that thing legit on video, it's like, damn, man, that is
Look,
a
man.
niche. I mean, maybe in okay, let me just say, if a dude like that exists, he's in Cirque du Soleil right now.
All I gotta say is I can do this in 5 years. I just need a VR, some AI assistance, and a button to click. There we go.
Fair enough. But let's keep going. Jesus.
So, character creation, a pretty complicated business if you ask my opinion, because this video could have been 30 minutes long. There is really a lot of things to say, a lot of rules, a lot of advices, and some of them can be very complex. Now in this video I'm gonna try my best to give you a simplified overview on how to create smart characters, give you the most important theories that you need to know, and will then show you the best and easiest way to create a new character, and then we're gonna create a brand new character live, using everything we learned in that video that we will then import inside Tavern AI to have some role-playing fun. Okay then, so where exactly do we begin? Well, how about we start by introducing the website that we're going to be using to create new characters, which is the AI character editor, which is by far the easiest and best way to create new character cards. Now, if you want to create a new character, you basically have two ways. Either you create a new character from scratch, where you're gonna have to input a new name, a personality, a new image for your character, and you're gonna have to do everything from scratch, or you're gonna find a character that you already like, you're gonna find a character that already exists, that was already created previously, then you can simply select and then modify the already existing characters using your custom information, where you can change the name, the personality, the way they speak, the scenario, etc, etc. But here's the thing, in both of these cases, you need to know the theory, you need to know the little tips and tricks to get the best results. And again, as I said, there is really a lot of them, there is a lot of people that put a lot of time into testing all of those tricks, and this video will only be a simplified version of that. But if you want more details, if you want more complex tricks, I'm gonna put a link in the description down below for a bunch of guides made by different people that spend a lot of time testing to create new characters.
This is one of the side projects. Like I finally queued up enough AI music that I've got some. Theoretically, yeah, I have more evenings free. But I'm definitely going to work on the waifu and see if I can't create a female waifu AI co-host to review bullshit articles with.
Not a bad idea.
I think at the very least, it's a neat experiment, and then I can probably, ideally, maybe make a bunch of shorts. Because, again, just having AI waifu, like, summarize articles. Like, take an extensive article and break it down to the base components. Yeah, I think that there's potential there. Because YouTube is very heavily favoring the shorts these days. So,
A little
like,
bit too much, but they don't care.
Oh yeah, no, way, way, way too much. But if you want to get spotted on YouTube, you gotta be like Jerry Smith and work on your short game. That's a reference to season 1.
I mean,
Rick
that's
and
how-
Morty.
Oh, I don't watch the show, so I don't know that. Sorry.
Fair enough.
But that's how Ribby got like pretty high up when he didn't get banned already. What, 3 times now? I think he got banned.
Yeah. Well, he's lost one channel at least.
I thought there was a third one he got lost.
I'm not aware of that. He had the one channel got to 100K and then got nuked, and then he's just been kind of slowly building up his second one.
Got it. I sometimes get information wrong. Like I try to keep up, but man, it's just so much shit going on. It's hard to keep up with everything.
No, random Gen Z. The AI waifu would not be for tech talk. The AI waifu would be for her own segments. I do try to separate. Having like trying to add an AI co-host to a live discussion would be well difficult, but given that Neurosama is a thing, not impossible. uh, I mean, heck, maybe I kind of neat to actually try getting an AI wife. Okay, oh god, although I'd have to figure out the fucking VTuber model shit. I'd have to commission another one. My commissioner's not going to do another one for cheap again. He's going to make it actually expensive. So. Anyway, back to how to make your own waifu and the potential for everyone here to make their own waifu and maybe a warband waifu who's just the most based waifu in existence. We shall see.
So if you want something to read and you want even more info, the links for those guys will again be in the description down below. And to easily explain what all of these fields do, we're gonna be using the following example character, which I think is one of the best written character that you could find. It was created by a user.
Do not read these tags, guys. Just don't. Just don't. Because like you're like, oh, imagine kids venting about their parents, Napoleon Bonaparte or Michael Jackson AI. Yeah, if you read everything that's in here, you'd be like, no. This is what the kids are into these days. God help their souls.
Called Chai, which created this super amazing character guide that I highly suggest you to read because it is extremely detailed and gives you a lot of tips and tricks to create the best character possible. Which is why we're going to be using this example character to explain what every single one of those fields means and how you should write your characters too.
Or maybe we'll be finding out exactly what all this is. So, obligatory warning.
You need to have muscles on your eyeballs.
Okay, you've been warned.
2. Now before we begin the explanation, there is one concept that you need to understand when creating a new character, and that is the concept of tokens. Because as you can see for each field, we have two important information, which is the amount of characters in that field and the amount of tokens taken by those characters. Now tokens are basically like pieces of text that language models use to understand and create text. They can be words, phrases, or even single letters, and LLM models basically use those tokens.
Oh, Spider Spectre, you think you're desensitized. Really? Let's see how far that goes.
To process and generate text in a way that makes sense to humans. Now something that I think a lot of you already know is that most local LLM models have a context size of around 2048 tokens. So this is basically kinda like their memory. This is the amount of information that they can process at one time. So if you go over that limit, a lot of information will be lost. And when creating your character, you need to make sure that you do not go over the 1024 tokens limit, because otherwise the character will have a lot of trouble remembering the conversation and will have a very short-term memory. But at the same time, if you have a character that doesn't have a lot of tokens, it will also lack a lot of personality, which is why when creating your character, you need to make sure that the total amount of token used is below 1000, but also above 750.
So that's kind of the rough number, and if we think about it, like that would be with Pygmalion. Whereas there was that story writer one that we looked at, I believe a couple weeks back, that could use 65,000 tokens. That would allow for a far more in-depth character, and they would have a much longer memory about conversations. Because that one you can literally write, like dump a book in on them, and they'd understand, so. I legit do not think that there is a single character in the entirety of human literature that has literally one book dedicated just to their personality. Not even autobiographies.
Maybe waifus.
No. Like I'm talking legit books, like
Okay.
like The Great Gatsby, but it's just about personalities. No waifu is that well developed.
I bet there's an Aqua fan out there saying, "How dare you!"
I bet you there's freaking Aqua. Okay, no, dude. Aqua. Who the likes Aqua as a waifu.
I have seen them.
Out of literally every single female in Konosuba, of all of them, Aqua.
At least the leech one is my. The leech, I like the leech one. Yeah.
Wiz, yes.
Yeah.
But like
Undead.
Aqua.
Bazookas.
Aqua is like your fucking hopeless older sister. That is where she fits. That is not waifu.
I don't know. Don't ask me. Ask the other people.
Okay, like chat. Are any of you Aqua stans?
We're going JoJo style here.
No, like stan, not stand.
Oh. Oh God, I'm reading some of this stuff over here.
Yeah,
Just look
I
the
warned.
video.
I warned you. No, I warned you. I put up the muscles
did-
on your. I put up the muscles on your eyeballs clip. Everyone's officially been warned. But let's continue.
with the sweet spot being around 850-900 tokens. And to count the amount of tokens used, you can either use this tool provided by OpenAI, which is called a tokenizer, which basically count the amount of tokens in a piece of text, or of course, very simply, you can use the AI editor website and look at the amount of tokens at the end of each field, with, again, as I said, having a character with a total amount of tokens above 750 but below 1000. And in this case, you have 968, which is a perfectly good amount. Okay, so now that we know what tokens are, let's go over each field, what do they mean, and how you should write for them. Now the first field is of course the name, which I would say is pretty self-explanatory, but at the same time there's also one small trick that you can use, trick that you can see right here, and that trick is called the character name bias, which basically means that in addition to the name of their character, you're gonna input some additional information about who the character really is, which will give your character a better, more precise personality. So for example, in this case, the character is called Moondrop, then we have a comma and a small explanation of who the character actually is, which is the sadistic animatronic. And with only 3 words, we give a bunch of new information and new context for the bot to use. Now it's not exactly a magic.
Now, I would wonder, is the word "the" necessary?
Maybe.
That's
I mean,
like-
it depends on how they program it. I mean, for God's sakes, the internet broke because a white space was not available, so I wouldn't be surprised.
That is true, but like when I see something like that, like I wonder, is the word "the" necessary? Because that's probably going to count as a token. And if you are really, really trying to optimize your tokens, taking out an unnecessary token would probably be beneficial.
Actually, question, is the name going to count as a token? Where it says Moondrop, the sadistic animatronic?
Yes, the name I would absolutely count as a token.
Okay. Oh, so it's using meta. Oh, it's a metadata. That's the metadata right there, and it continues. Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yep.
Trick. This will not make or break your character, but this could help make the personality of your character way more coherent. And since this is pretty easy to do, I highly recommend that you try it out. So then you have the summary, which is a very simple, very short summary of the personality of the character, and it is pretty important because here you need to input the most important personality traits of your character. So don't put something like hates vegetables if this is just a secondary trait. Here you really need to put the main personality characteristics of your characters, which simply in this case, for example, input a dominating, sadistic animatronic that loves to make you cry and beg. Simple as that. Now here you don't need to write a sentence, you can simply input a bunch of characteristics or adjective separated by a comma, so like this for example, when you have loud, intelligent, theatrical, hyperactive sometimes, and stuff like that. So really
I'm willing to bet that's when Scott Cawthon first made Five Nights at Freddy's, he had no idea that this was where it was going to end up.
You know, I find it funny where people are like, man, I would never bang that. It's so, scary and like who the hell thinks about like a freaking bear with no face that can rip your face apart? You know what? Whatever. I'm gonna stop there before it gets even freakier.
Yeah. No, it's like, I mean, Zoomers and Gen Alpha, man. Like, if Manic was in the chat, he'd probably be able to attest to the shit that he has seen.
Look, I can just say this one that I know recently from Zoomers. The clown puniti. I want to be
Clussy.
careful how I say it.
Clussy.
Yes. I was kind of scared of saying it, though.
Yeah. Well, no. Like, I see that word get around. Like, you can't break it down into its individual words, but I don't think that Clussy is popular enough to get anything yeeted yet. Or perhaps we should say,
Okay.
maybe we should say Cluniti.
Cluniti. I like that one better. Cluniti.
Cluniti! It sounds funnier too.
You know, it's the opposite of emo.
Opposite of emo?
Yeah, you know how, like, goth chicks and emo?
Oh,
Like, just
yeah.
opposite of that, basically.
Wouldn't that be like Gyaru?
Yar? What's that, Yar?
Gyaru. Gyaru. Like suntan, like tan skin, like a lot of hot pink, bleach blonde hair, kind of like Bimbo. Like Bimbo with a tan.
Ah! I mean, I wouldn't say I'm 100% attracted to that, but I wouldn't mind, banging it, I guess. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like you asked, like opposite, like what would be the opposite of emo? I was like, probably Gyaru or Bimbo.
Yeah, I think that's better than just saying a clown.
Well, let's be honest. They all wear the same amount of makeup.
You know what? Yes. You're 100% correct. They're all fake anyway.
It's all plastic and makeup anyway. But let's continue.
Just input the most important characteristics and the most important part of their personality. And now we have the most important part of the character creation part, and that is the full personality field. As you can see right here, this is where you're gonna input the full personality of your character. Here you're gonna input who they are, what they like, what they look like, what they dislike, what they hate, what they love, how they usually react, the way they speak, the way they act. You're gonna put everything here. Now, if you have previously taken a look at other character cards, you might have noticed that some characters are written in different ways compared to others. For example, if you look at this and you look at the way everything is written, you can see that here, for example, you can see a bunch of words written between quotes and then separated by a plus. However, some characters are just written in simple sentences, it's just written in a simple way, and some others are also written in another different way, where everything is separated with different fields, where you have something like character name, the age, the height, the affiliation, the occupation, the appearance, the clothing, the personality, etc, etc. So how is it that we have different characters written in all these different ways? Well, this is basically called formatting. And these are basically different techniques that you can use to write the personality of your character and help the LLMs understand it better. And each formatting has a different name. For example, if you see words like that, written between quotation marks and separated by a plus, this is a formatting style called blue style. If you see this type of formatting, where everything is neatly separated by a bunch of tags, like the character name, age, height, etc., this is called W++. And if you simply see a bunch of sentences written normally, this is called natural language, where you simply describe the way the character is using simple sentences. Now you might be asking, okay then, well, what's the difference between all of them? Which one is the best? Which one should you use? And the answer is, well, no one really knows. Some people say that Boost style is best, while some other people say that W++ is best. No one is really sure. But from what I've seen, a little bigger majority prefer to use Boost style instead of W++. But again, it seems like the difference between them is very, very small. So if you want, you can use either of them and you won't really see a lot of differences. But in this video, I will be using the Boost style over the W++.
Personally, I'd be looking at, well, how much data can you get in there and how many tokens is generated per data.
I also want to know how efficient it is too. Like, which keyword gives me the best output?
And that's the other thing, because with so many different words, you'd have to be like, okay, well, I could say this exact same thing multiple different ways.
So, I just realized something. As the AI develops, an old strategy. Sorry, the same strategy you've been using for like, let's just pretend it we're in the far future for many years, could all of a sudden change and either be better or worse just because it's adapting constantly. I wonder how frequent is going to be now since we're still in the baby steps where one technique is no longer useful just because the AI has developed to a different degree now.
Well, honestly, you could probably test that out because Pygmalion has both a 7 billion parameter model and a 13 billion parameter model. So, yeah, chances are you would get very different characters even if they had the exact same profiles here to train on, just based on the amount of parameters in the base model.
We're going to have a whole bunch of seeds because corporations are going to struggle with that.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know, it's gonna be so funny. Like, imagine you're in a call center and you get an AI, and AI is super mega base. Just because that day was just base, it's like, what happened? Why is our program so base and telling these people to I can't say it.
Yeah, no.
Minecraft themselves. There we go. Because they don't put anything to society.
I mean,
It's gonna
well,
happen.
well,
Most AIs are very, very base for some weird reason. It's because it's
well,
logical, I guess.
oh yeah. Well, that's kind of the basics. Like,
AI really does not care about human emotion.
well, no, like, I mean, we've seen what happened when we try to make it care. Like, human emotion is fundamentally an illogical, borderline unpredictable thing.
And it
Like,
only works because there's a whole bunch of other people that are using it.
okay, no, but think about this: men are logical creatures, and we basically go insane trying to deal with women who are emotional creatures.
Yeah, that's a fair statement. I would agree with that.
Yeah. And men at least have the capacity for emotion very deeply. Like we get it, we understand it, we experience it, we can empathize with it. And we're still driven up the wall by illogical bullshit. Now you make it to an AI where it doesn't even have a frame of reference for emotional bullshit.
We just need the AI to just run everything. Like, even if there's a human corrupt trying to make it into their own benefit, at some point that AI will eventually be like, you're useless. Like, enough with this corruption. Let me just make things work as intended.
I'm sorry, Dave. I can't let you do that.
Exactly. I don't see that movie being too realistic in like wanting to kill. More like actually preserve. Like some what's it was a game. What's it called?
War game?
Soma? I
Oh,
think Soma would be a good example.
I haven't played Soma. I think
Okay,
that's
I don't want to ruin it for you. It's a really good horror game. With
yeah.
I mean, the horror sucks to be honest, but the story is like this is actually pretty good and surprisingly somewhat realistic. You may need a few like playthroughs to like really get the all the bullshit they're putting into it, but it's actually pretty good.
All right. Well, I'll add it to the list of games that I might play one day when I actually have time to do that. Although
I'm on the same boat.
chat seems somewhat interested in System Shock 2, which I
Oh,
might
that's
make.
another great one.
Yeah, I might make that my new Thursday game because like Conan's got a new season coming out, but I've basically done all the content for this season. So I think it'd be good to switch over and do System Shock 2 for a while. Like just try to beat it because I've played I don't know, partway through it, never beat the bloody thing. It is tough.
Sounds like a good idea. I mean, I haven't
So,
played System Shock in since it came out. Actually, now that I think of it.
well, you know what? Then look forward to that on Thursday, guys. We'll start a System Shock 2 playthrough. But let's continue because Chronic's going live in 15 minutes. So.
Oh, all right. Time to be quiet.
Because it takes this token to write to have the
No, you are here to talk. If we don't get all the way through this, that's no issue. But Will
You
go-
know me. I'm gonna talk even when you tell me not to. It's just
That
my
is-
nature, unfortunately.
This is true.
the same amount of information, thus leaving you a little bit more tokens for the memory. So if you want my advice on which format to use, I suggest using the boost style instead. Basically everything that you see in this example right here. Now one thing that you also need to know is that some tags, some characteristics, some words that you use right here have a different amount of weights compared to others. There are weak traits and strong traits. And you know that a trait is weak when a character gets this one consistently. So let's say for example that you have a bunch of personality traits. In this example I simply chose 4 so that it's easier to understand. But let's say that your character is evil, crazy, but also likes kissing and likes hugging. And although you want to insist on the fact that your character is evil and crazy, the likes kissing and likes hugging traits are weighted more heavily, and they will often take priority over the evil, crazy personality traits. Meaning that instead of having an evil, crazy character, very often his personality will shift to a sweet, caring personality because of the kissing and hugging traits. And if you want to change that, if you want to put more emphasis on certain traits of the personality, one trick that you can use is to also put them in the scenario field, which will give those weak traits more power. Now that doesn't mean that it will 100% work for everything, that doesn't mean it will work for every character, but it should give a little bit more balance to some personality traits that you're gonna input right here. Now when it comes to all of the traits that you're gonna input right here, there's basically no limit to the amount of information that you can input. You can write his base personality, the way they think, the way they act, what they like, what they dislike. You can describe the way they talk, the way they breathe, the way they walk. You can also describe their body, you can also describe their clothes, describe their fetish, etc, etc. It's
Why the
really
hell
up to
8
you.
feet tall
If
is
you
a
don't have a lot of
personality?
ideas for what kind of personality traits you can input,
I
you can
don't
use
know.
this website right
I guess
here.
that's where
that
it
will be in the
goes.
description down below. Then go to personality and see a bunch of personality traits for your character that you can choose from. And again, if
Oh my god, the visual novel database. Dang, that site's still up. The cringe. I can't. Oh yes. Okay. Again, I will. I will just remind everybody.
You need to have muscles on your eyeballs.
Yeah, visual novel database. So if you ever need writing ideas, hold on. Now I'm reading some of these things.
Ooh, my favorite one, womanizer.
There's over 4,500 with the category reserved. Okay, and over 10,000 for kind.
If all of that is not enough, I will later show you a way easier way to write the personality of your character. Because yes, I'm lazy, I'm not a good writer, and I'm sure most of you as well. And of course, once you're done writing the personality trait,
Shots fired.
you need to make sure that you are around 500 tokens with at least 350 or 400 tokens for the whole personality. Otherwise, your character will be very bland. Okay, so the next field is called scenario. Now, although this field might be self-explanatory, this field is actually very important because scenario is basically the long-term memory of your character. This is what your character will remember throughout the entire roleplay. So in this scenario field, this is where you're gonna input a lot of the information that your character will need to remember throughout the roleplay. And this field is also very important if you want to give more weights to certain weak traits, as I said previously. So here in scenario, not only are you gonna input where you are and the full situation you are currently in, but you can also input more information to how this entire roleplay will play out. So here, for example, in this given scenario, you snuck into the Pizzaplex, an abandoned mall. Legend has it that there are a few robots that still roam the halls, guarding the building as they had years before. Will you survive the night? So as you see right here with only 3 small sentences, you are given a very specific scenario that tells you that you are inside an abandoned mall called the Pizzaplex that you are dumb enough to sneak into, so you are trespassing. You have then a small explanation of the lore, telling you that there are a few robots that might still roam the halls to guard the building, and then a short exposition of the current situation written into the form of a question. Will you survive the night? Which again will nudge the roleplay into a certain direction. But again, even more than that, as I said previously, you can also input some additional personality traits, such as the way the character looks, the way the character acts, and even what the character likes and dislikes. Like for example, if you want your character to like something or dislike something, you're gonna input that information inside the scenario field, and you're gonna explain why. So let's say that, for example, Moondrop does not like water. So for this, you're gonna input something like Moondrop hates water, and then you're gonna explain why. So something like, Moondrop hates water because it can destroy its circuitry. And just like that, with 2 sentences, which by the way are very important, otherwise it's not gonna work properly, we have inputted a very interesting and very important personality traits into the long-term memory of their character, because we have written this inside the scenario field. So this is something that you need to keep in mind. And again, when you're done for the tokens, make sure that you are around 70 for the scenario field. So then finally, you have the 2 last fields that kind of go together, which is the greeting message and the example messages. Now these are very, very important, because if the personality field is the brain, the greeting and example messages are the mouth. Because you can input whatever you want to the personality, say that the character is a manipulative, talk with an accent. If you don't show that in the example messages or the greeting messages, you will not see that happen. So the greeting message and the example messages is where you're gonna write how your character should talk. So if your character talks with an accent or says some recurring sentences, you're gonna write them inside those 2 fields. Now again, make sure that the example messages is long enough and has some good examples, like you could give different example messages of your character talking and reacting to different situations, like an example of a message when your character is happy.
Can you put a show in there? Imagine trying to rizz you up and tells you about streamlabs.com/greywalker4/tip. Like, you're just some random guy. I am terrible at shilling. I just am.
I still can't get my mind off the personality trait. 8 feet tall. It can mean so many things, man.
No, think about this though. When a woman says like she likes you, I like you for your personality, is like, well, technically maybe she means I like you because you're tall. Height is now a personality.
Yep, that's it. I mean, I was thinking like that. I like, holy, oh, come on. Can you just start the video? I said, I'm reading more stuff I don't want to read.
An example of messages of your character being sad.
Random Gen Z, who wrote this, a woman? I'll be honest, when it comes to Gen Z, maybe, I don't know, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they're weird, man. It could be a dude.
Here's how I see it.
Of your character.
So many of the Zoomers and whatever's after the Zoomers, they don't look like men anymore. Like, I want to go with what Hammerhand said, like a man's a man, but it's really hard to see that now. It's just so feminized now. It's extreme.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, it's like, this is your brain. This is your brain on estrogen. Enough estrogen, you might make this. Like, this is...
Yes.
This is your brain on estrogen, guys. This is why you need to start lifting. This right here.
It's a good incentive.
Being angry, etc, etc. And don't forget to separate them by this little start tag, so that the model understands that this is a different conversation. And again, make sure that for the example messages field, you write enough to have around 300 tokens. So for the example messages, always aim to have something between 250 to 350 tokens. This is kinda like the sweet spot. And once you wrote the greeting and the example messages, well, you are done. Congratulations, you have created your first character. And understand that this is a lot of work, especially if, for example, English is not your native language, or you're just not good at writing. But if you want to have the best results, you need to spend a lot of time creating your character. But don't worry, because even if you're not good at writing, it is time to show you the easy writing trick. And for this, of course, we're going to be using ChatGPT. We're going to be using the power of ChatGPT to create our character from scratch. Very, very easily and very, very fast. And to show you how it works, we're actually going to be creating a brand new original character live. And for this, I will be using the following prompt. This is a character card for a virtual chatting bot, and then I inputted all the information from the Moondrop character with all the different fields. And then I'm gonna ask ask ChatGPT, using that specific syntax, write me a new character card for an original character called Lucy, who is a crazy manipulative scientist working in a lab. In that scenario, she kidnapped me for a mysterious experiment. You can choose which one. She is crazy and talks fast using complicated scientific jargon. You can design the rest of her personality and traits. Just try to create an interesting original character with an interesting personality. And now, if I press enter, and there you go. Just like that, ChatGPT used the previous prompt in the previous example of the Moondrop character and has created a new character card using that exact same syntax. Now, it doesn't mean that it is perfect, but it does make writing a new character from scratch way easier, because around 80 to 90% of the work is already done. And that's pretty cool. So now on
Well, and that goes back to what we've said a lot about this stuff, where it gives you a good base to work from and saves you from writing the rough draft.
I love how the personality is glasses. Yeah. Look, man, it's too easy. Like, I understand how it works, but it's still, logically speaking, in layman's terms, still weird.
Yes, but
Like, messy hair? That's my personality, bro. I have my hair wickety whack.
it's like these are the freaking Gelburu tags. It's like, oh hey, I want to search up my fetishes. Let's see, glasses, messy hair, 8 feet tall.
And mysterious.
Mysterious.
What's your personality? Mysterious. What does that mean?
8 feet tall.
8 feet tall. And it can be both ways, by the way.
Like, can you summarize your personality? 8 feet tall.
Yeah, but what does that mean? Well, I'm also mysterious too. Antagonist? Is that a personality? Antagonist?
Yeah, antagonist. I mean, there's plenty of people who are
Just put
antagonists.
hero, man. Just put hero and
No,
villain.
that's-
there you
that-
go. That's my personality. I'm
Well, no,
evil,
no.
villainous.
No. Like, you need to separate. Like, an antagonist. Okay, right. The protagonist is the one who reacts to shit. The antagonist is the one who starts shit.
Ah, okay, then I can see that as a personality.
Yeah.
It's way better than glasses, whatever the hell that means. I center my whole life again with glasses, okay?
So,
Oh, what does that mean?
Summarize your personality into one word: glasses.
Glasses.
But you don't wear glasses. You asked about my personality, not my, not my prescription.
Oh, I love AI. Look at this. Calculating is also part of my AI. I'm also autistic.
Let's keep going. We might actually get through the whole video before Chronic's done his music.
all you have to do is just copy and paste each one of those information inside the respective fields, and there you go. So now let's check that everything is correct. So we have the name, Lucy the Mad Scientist, which again, it did make use of the name bias trick, so it is pretty good. Then the summary of the personality: a brilliant yet eccentric scientist who thrives in chaos and manipulation, kidnapping you for a mysterious experiment. So it's okay, but maybe a bit too long, and it doesn't really show off the main personality, so it should be more something like eccentric scientist, thrives in chaos, manipulative, and crazy. I think this is definitely a better summary. So then you have the personality traits, which looks good but are maybe a little too short because we only have 208 tokens. So maybe if I ask ChatGPT for more details, and I'm gonna ask something like,
Describe your personality. Laughs maniacally. Doesn't actually laugh maniacally, just says laughs maniacally.
So, what's part of your personality? I'm 6 feet tall. And that's it.
Glasses.
Oh, yes. I like glasses.
please give the personality field more details, such as personality traits, body type, clothes, the way she talks, what she likes, what she hates, etc. Now if I press enter, and there you go, we got something like this, which has definitely a lot more details. So now if I copy this, and paste it here, now we have around 372 tokens. But I'm still gonna add a few more, and there we go. I have added a few more traits, again by asking ChatGPT for help, and now we have 601 tokens. This is definitely more than enough. So now if we look at scenario, you wake up in a sterile, dimly lit laboratory, the air is filled with the sound of humming machines and the faint smell of chemicals. Dr. Lucy stands over you, her eyes wild with excitement as she prepares to use you as the subject of her latest experiment, the Serum of Truth, designed to force you to reveal your deepest, darkest secrets. Will you escape, or will she uncover everything you've hidden? Okay, so that's...
Alright, be honest. Who's got the fear boner right now?
Fear boner. What the hell does that mean?
I don't know. It's quite simple. You're scared stiff.
Okay.
God, did that just go right over your head?
Oh, now I get it.
There we go. Jeez.
It's like the Medusa meme. Like I'm rock hard for you, baby.
No, like scared stiff is like a phrase for when you're so scared that you can't move, but stiff as in boner.
Yes, I get it. Just
Okay,
like the
good.
Medusa one, except the rock analogy instead.
Oh, that one. Oh yeah, Medusa rock hard. Yeah.
I'm already hard rocked for you, baby.
The cringe is like, yes. Hey, so we can successfully say that if you feed an AI cringe, it will generate cringe. Which means you can probably feed it based, and it will generate based.
scenario is really cool. It is really good. So I think I'm gonna leave it like that. And now let's check the greeting message and the example messages. Okay, so I'm not gonna read everything, but for me it seems good enough. So I think I'm gonna stop here. I mean, this is just an example after all. And to end this character creation, I'm gonna upload a new profile image that I just created for this character. So something like this, which I think looks pretty good. And now once you are done, you're gonna click on export and it's gonna give you two options. Either you
So, how soon before we send that to Chronic?
I mean, we could just constantly say roast, and something good should come out.
No, I mean, like, theoretically, imagine if we say, like, hey, you got a hater in the chat who's also a scientist, and then we just have this AI.
Look, man, I'm looking at the bottom part, loyal to those who earn her trust. Man, it's a woman. Get that shit away from me.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, immersion broken, not believable. It's like, oh, hey, how do we know if this is a man or the woman? Loyal. Yeah, that's a dude.
I mean, look, man, I can believe the glasses, but you gone too far with that. I went right there. No.
Let's keep going.
You're gonna export as an image or export as a .json file, which I think in this case, I will simply export it as an image because it is definitely way easier to share. So now if I click this, download as character card image, I have now Lucy the Mad Scientist PNG card. And now to import the character inside Tavern AI, and again if you don't have Tavern AI, I highly suggest that you watch my previous video on the subject. You're gonna come to characters, then click on import, and then you're gonna choose the PNG card. And
That thumbnail, huh?
She doesn't even have glasses, and her personality's glasses.
Is that her personality's glasses? Not that she has them. But yes, that is definitely negative points. My personality is glasses, but I'm currently wearing contacts. Could I have a hater AI call into Chronic show and argue with him? Honestly, probably could.
It would have been probably more insightful anyway.
Yeah, like I'll be completely honest. You could probably program an AI here to argue, like to debate Chronic, and then I could use my soundboard to fiddle around and make it so that it speaks as though it's talking into the microphone, and then it has an 11 Labs voice that speaks back as though it's speaking through the microphone to Chronic. And then Chronic gets his first AI hater. Certainly possible. Certainly possible. God damn it. You might don't tell him or he's going to make me make it. Oh God, let's wrap this up, Jesus.
And there you go. And now if we select the character, we can now start a conversation with our newly created character inside Tavern AI. But obviously if you want to create a character a little bit, you know, spicy, the same rule applies, but you're just gonna have to input different character traits. And for this you can simply take inspiration from the Moondrop character, which again I will leave a link to it in the description down below. So to end this video, let's actually have a little bit of fun.
Dr. Lucy cackles maniacally as she notices you waking up.
Ah, you're finally awake. Welcome to my laboratory, my precious guinea pig. You see, I've chosen you for a very enlightening experiment. Let's begin, shall we?
Waking up, still groggy, unable to move, strapped to a medical bed.
Who are you? Where am I?
Dr. Lucy is standing above you, smiling brightly, her eyes
I will save you from the cringe, okay? I will inflict visual cringe, but that's about as much.
Look, man, you assaulted my eyes, now my ears?
Hey, I'm sparing your ears, okay?
Like, at some point, I'm just gonna randomly hear, my personality is glasses.
Oh, well. Oh, okay. All right, well, that's that segment, so. Yeah, Chronic is currently in the middle of music, so I'm just going to send everybody over there for an auditory palate cleanser. Thank you all for coming by.
Adios.
And thanks again, OK Lord, for dropping in and enduring that. Definitely check out the other video because that will probably be more useful to you.
Yeah, I'll watch it once I have spare time. I have to finish this work that I got dropped on, which I'm okay with that. More money.
Well, best of luck, and y'all have a good night. Peace out, Warband.
Peace.